Hi, welcome back to I Sew with Joy. So today we're going to go over 3 additional terminologies that all beginner sewers should know. Today we're going to talk about box corners, notches, and back stitching. Now, those may not make sense to you, but I promise you when I'm done with this video, you're going to know exactly what they are and what they are used for. So come along and let's get started. So let's talk about notches. What is a notch? A notch is basically a marking on a piece of fabric that allows you to align 2 pieces together or 2 areas together. So what you might see in some cases when people sew is they might do something similar to this by cutting a corner. And the goal of this is that when you put both corners together, you're able to align it. And that just ensures that you're putting 2 sides together, that you're able to align properly. So that is basically it. It's a notch. And sometimes when you look at patterns, you might see something similar as well. That is what it indicates, that this notch should, match up to another area. So you know that you're actually doing this correctly. Next, let's talk about back stitching. Now, if you have one of the newer computerized sewing machine, and when I say newer, I mean something primarily in the 90s, 2000s on, you probably have this button on your sewing machine. It looks like a reverse button, and it is sometimes referred to as a reverse button. A back stitch is basically a way you secure your seams to ensure that it doesn't come apart. While most modern machines are okay with just a single stitch, a back stitch is just an additional reinforcement that ensures that your stitch stays in place. So typically what you do is you start sewing your fabric. And if you wish to do a back stitch, you would press this while still having your foot on your foot pedal, and it will just go back the same way. So as you can see, it went backwards. In essence, it goes over the same stitch again and ensures that you have a more secure stitch. I'd also like to state that while back stitches are nice, they are not must-haves. They're nice to haves. Sometimes when you're sewing, you end up having to sew over anyway. So in that case, it also secures it. So don't feel that you absolutely have to use a back stitch. However, if you're coming to the end of a garment, or if you have a garment that unravels easily, something similar to this here, I do recommend using a back stitch. Now, lastly, let's talk about boxed corners. And it is exactly like the name says. You're just creating a square piece on the corner of your fabric, and you're going to cut it out. So in a situation like this, I could, measure. In this case, I have a ruler that is exactly an inch. So this is an inch boxed corner, and I'm just going to mark it up on my piece of fabric. And that's exactly an inch. So when it tells you to do an inch boxed corner, that's all you do. You can get these rulers, or you can use a regular ruler just to measure. I find that these are easier. So if you don't have these, you can absolutely use a regular ruler. Now, the reason you do this is because when you're making a purse, for example, and this is, you can just cut it here, or you can use your rotary cutter. The reason you primarily do this, especially when making bags, is that you want to create a flat surface. What this does is by boxing your corner, you can sew it down like so. And when eventually you're done, it creates a flat surface for your bag to sit on. So I hope you found this helpful. If you're not already doing so, please be sure to subscribe so you can get notified as I post. Have a wonderful day.